Club. Here we are. Okay, so given who is here, I don't need to discuss too much about MWA, but just a little reminder. We are one of 11 chapters of Mystery Writers of America, the country's oldest organization of professional writers. Our goals are to promote the publication and discussion of mystery writing and to promote and maintain high standards in the writing, publishing, and production of mystery stories. We welcome new writers, aspiring authors, and anyone who simply loves a good mystery. We hold meetings throughout the year and across the Northern California region, generally with speakers or demonstrations of interest to crime writers. Most meetings are open to the public. Our regular newsletter lineup is available for members only and has news about our member publications, events, interviews with writers and others in the book trades, writing tips, and news of upcoming events. MWA NorCal board member and author Michelle Chouinard is going to introduce our speaker today. Michelle, take it away.
Hi. So yes, I am a board member, and I think I have something to do with events as well. I'm not quite sure. But yes, I am the author of the Serial Killer Guide to San Francisco and the Joe Fournier series, which you can't see up there. And my ability to promote those books leveled up exponentially after I started using BookBrush. And so I am a huge advocate for BookBrush, and I'm extremely excited to have Kathleen here to talk with us today. Kathleen Sweeney is the Chief Operating Officer at BookBrush. She has presented to over 300 author groups, fueling her passion for supporting authors. And I can attest that she really does have that passion, and she's reached out to me and helped me whenever I need it, and I'm deeply appreciative. At home in Central Illinois, she balances family life with her husband, 3 busy boys, and the 2 most handsome cats on the planet. Her hobbies include eating tacos and turning socks right side out. I feel you there. And yeah, just the last thing I want to say is BookBrush. I don't know what all Kathleen's going to tell you today, but it can help you with book trailers. It can help you with covers. It can help you with any kind of graphics you need. I have yet to find anything it cannot help me with. So I'm gonna, with that, on that note, I will give it over to Kathleen.
What a fabulous introduction. And I hopefully I can knock your socks off today. So I'll talk for a minute and then I'll start our the PowerPoint presentation. So BookBrush is online platform, started as an online platform. I want to take it from the beginning in case we have any non-BookBrush related people here. So you get the full meal deal here. And also I said before we started, no question's a dumb question. So if you're live, drop it in the chat. But BookBrush has been in the author space since 2018. We started as a platform for authors with some do-it-yourself tools, pretty basic, and we have added so many things. So like Michelle said, now we have options. You can make your own book trailers, you can make your own book covers. Those 3D versions of your book, we have 300 different ways to make your book magically 3D. So our goal is to make your author life easier so that you can just write those stories and focus on the things you enjoy. And to that end, so many people are finding that social media is daunting. And so I'm going to give you tips on social media that you can apply if you are creating your own social media graphics. And then we'll also talk about the full service social media that we offer. And then we have some a la carte services. So if there's some things that you just want to take off your plate and say, okay, who has been in the author space and is really good at design stuff? And I want them to do the things that I don't want to do. So let me hop in here and we will get started. And thanks for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon here to jump in. So let's go. All right. So we'll try to make social media simple. Lots of tips and tricks here for you. So I think the first thing that I want to tackle here is when you think about social media, people are like, well, that's a super good idea. I'm going to get on social media. But what kind of content should you be sharing? What to put out there? That is a big stumbling block. People sometimes don't mind spending the time to put something out there if they have the ideas. The ideas are what is hard for them. So I'm going to walk through content examples, and static graphics, just to back up, are perfect for Facebook and Instagram. And then we'll show some video components. You can use video, of course, on TikTok and YouTube. And then those are also nice for Instagram Reels and Facebook Stories and Reels too. So first off, first example.
Sorry, that was my mistake. I'm sorry.
You're
Please
fine.
do that again.
Are we good?
Yes,
Should
we're
I start
good.
over? Okay. Okay. I'll just keep rolling. Did we miss
We're
anything?
good. No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so these are all examples of folks who use our full service social media, and these are graphics we created for them. And I like showing these as ways to spark your mind so you can either do it yourself and say, all right, I'm going to apply these tips, or option number two, I like how they look and I want somebody to do these things for me. So this is a graphic. We talk a lot about the different sizes here, and we gravitate towards the square graphic because it does really well on people's phones. So the examples I'm going to show you is the square graphic, Instagram and Facebook. You can do horizontal on Facebook, but people's phones can chop that up. So we're going to show square examples here. Things we have in this example to note are the book cover in the graphic in two versions. So it shows the ebook, it shows it on a phone. You've got a quick quote at the top. Heartache intensifies for Ellie when Sam re-enters her life under challenging circumstances. So it gives you an idea of the gravity of the story, those kinds of things. A stripe at the top, so this bold stripe, and a call to action, subscribe to my newsletter. So add that in there. And then a quick author address. So ChristinaBeck.com. A lot of times we don't recommend even putting the www or the HTTPS, all those things. People know those. So do it as simple as possible. And her website is ChristinaBeck.com. The image behind it is subtle and doesn't distract from the book. And then you've got the retailer call to action there. And then at the bottom, and you're going to see this on most of my examples, and I think this is a really good idea, put your social media handles, because someone might share the graphic. You might put it in your newsletter. It could go various places. You want to make it as easy as possible for somebody to find you. So you want to have your Facebook handle and your Instagram handle. And if you're doing other things like TikTok and YouTube, you can put those there too. All right. Next example. And it's kind of like the previous one where it said the newsletter at the top. This is literally a newsletter promo. Join my newsletter. That's something that you can put on social media. So you don't always just want a glamour shot of your book. You want to have things that create an experience on the page. So when you look at this graphic, the design in the background coordinates with this box set image. You have wording that says it's a series. Always, if it's a series, it's good to advertise that, because people really like to purchase a series because then they don't have to decide what to read next and next and next. And then the wording is simple with captivating blend of romance, magic, and adventure. Those are important buzzwords. People are looking for romance, magic, and adventure. And so if those are what's in your story, you want to be sure to call those things out. Nothing here is distracting. You have a nice pink spot with the author's website. Again, just simple, jayleeaustin.com, and the Facebook and Instagram handles at the bottom. All right. And another idea for your social media posts, and I just want you to stop and think through, these are ideas. What can I put on social media? So we have a goal for Facebook and Instagram for our folks, posting 6 days a week. So you have to think outside the box. So this is a book review. Fan-freaking-tastic. This isn't just about a competition or spell casting. It's about family and love and trust, bigotry, heartache, loss, murder, and metamorphosis. Think of all those amazing buzzwords that are in there. So whatever somebody is looking for, if these are the things that they're looking for, you have called out those different tropes right there, and they're kind of showcased with a neat little design on both sides, so it's easy to read. Again, you've got the book in multiple formats. The colors coordinate. So the person whose quote it is in a purple color that's similar to what is on the book cover. And then something kind of magical in the corner with those candles. So this you could create on your own too, but it's just an example of something that we could create and thinking, okay, let me rotate. You have all kinds of fodder for social media in your book reviews. Pull out some of those things. Use those in graphics. And you could create 4 of those at a time and post them every Tuesday. So it doesn't have to be super time consuming, but it can be something that you can get done and have ready to post. Next example, similar to the book reviews, the book ratings. So grab a 5-star review. And what I like about this, you've got the website at the top and the book cover in here. The background is not competing, but the colors coordinate. Sometimes people spend a lot of time looking for a background that tells a story in itself. And it's so busy that it kind of distracts from the book cover. So this is a nice example where you have the matching colors and a bit of that sparkle. So you can tell a little bit about what the story would be. This is not going to be historical or a crime book. You can tell what you've got here. And then a reader review, a 5-star. This one, if you look at the bottom, has an actual stripe with the Facebook and the Instagram handle. And I think that's a nice way to call that out. And that's something easy to do if you're doing that yourself in BookBrush. Just use, I would use an element and use a shape, put that in there, and then you can put the Facebook and the Instagram. And I was going to ask this at the beginning. For those that are live, let me know in the chat if you currently use BookBrush for your graphics. Michelle, I already know your answer. But for anybody else, because I can mention some other places in BookBrush that you can do these things. So I'll have you guys type in the chat if you don't mind, if you are a BookBrusher already, or if you're new to BookBrush land. And I'll go to the next slide. Karen, okay, you're new to BookBrush land, and that's all right. I'm glad you're here. So our platform is bookbrush.com, and there's a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. And then the full service here too. So I will make sure you can find our site at the end and check it out and see if this is stuff you want to tackle on your own. I have had people say it was so much fun that they didn't spend as much time writing as they were supposed to. So I hate to send you down this rabbit hole, but I promise I think you would find it a lot of fun. And if that's not your cup of tea, then you can also have us do the full service or the a la carte options. And as Michelle said in here, the site has really good tutorials. We have a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of how-to videos, all those things. I at least once a week do a little nugget on YouTube to show you how to do one little thing. So it makes it easy. I did this past Friday, how to give your book a glow up, just a glow behind the book and the graphic, something really easy. All right. Next idea for a social media post, a book excerpt. So I think you as an author are the best one to come up with this because you wrote the book. So that's perfect. You know what you can put in there that is enticing, but doesn't necessarily give away who died or who got married or who, those kind of things, but something about the book. So this is a quote from the character, Sierra Smith, in this particular book. Every day is a battle against my past, but with Chad by my side, I find the strength to heal. You have an image that's not distracting. There's a bit of blur on that image, which I think is a powerful tool because it can help things pop. You have the book cover at the bottom, and it all comes together. So again, when people come to your page on social media, if you're going to post 6 days a week, it cannot be a call to action, buy my book every single day. They'll be bored of you. You need to give them other things like the reviews, the book excerpt, those kind of things. People who are interested in you and your books, things that they would like to see. And then from a video perspective, you can also do cinematic shorts. And you can do something like this yourself, or we can create these kind of things for you. So I'm going to push play. This is a TikTok channel for Rebecca Zanetti. And cinematic shorts, this is going to scroll a little bit and then it'll play, are taking the book excerpt and putting a little music and sound with
I'm
it.
saying
Here you go.
it's a bad idea, Nico snarls. The vitriol in his voice catches me, and I press back into my chair. Shall we ask Alana's opinion? Nico asks quietly. There's a tone in his voice I can't quite read, but I know I don't like it. I clasp shaking hands on my lap. My rose quartz necklace begins to heat against my skin, and I absorb comfort from the stone, calming myself. How about you both stop snapping at me, I say serenely. As usual, I'm happy to help. Good, my father says, because it is time for you to step up as the sole heir to Aquarius Social and the one with the strongest connections to aquamarines. There can only be one in every generation, and you're somehow it. I'm saying...
Oops. It's really interesting to me how well these do on social media. So this is an example on TikTok, but because it's an MP4 and it's a video, it can go anywhere that accepts that, which would be TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram Reels and Facebook Stories and Reels. This is one we made, but this is something that you could do in BookBrush. If you have the plan with the trailer creator, you either could upload a snippet from your audiobook, or you can record it yourself and just bring in that little audio file. I just record some in Zoom sometimes because I record some for people. Bring that in, and you could just put the text on there. You don't have to have the text. It could also just be audio with video background. Put your book on there and download. And give those a try. I think it's interesting because a lot of people shop for books. You know, there's a lot of book recommendations on social media. And if they can actually get a feel for something like this, you want to pick a snippet that is representative of your book and what they'd be getting. But you have a whole book, so it's kind of unlimited to an extent what you could put together for cinematic shorts. And so if you're wanting to post real frequently, those are an option for you. And then TikTok has hashtags like book talk, book talkers, things like that you can use. All right, here's another example. This is more of a mini book trailer, a different kind of reel. So let me show you this. This is about the storyline. So it's different than an actual book excerpt. It just tells a story. Let me show you this. So you can definitely tell you've got the magic, the genies, those kind of things, the fantasy theme. This is not a crime thriller, but those are really powerful. So it doesn't give anything away. But when you've got music, video background, and animation all together in the book cover, that can really draw somebody's attention in. Those you could do somewhat yourself in the trailer creator. You can have us do those a la carte. We also do them in the full service. So there's tons of ways that you can do that. To get that in product, but I think they really capture people's attention. You might be impressed the first couple you post, because if you've never posted anything like that before, people are like, oh, and you know what's interesting, you know, Facebook and Instagram are follower based, but TikTok and YouTube are experience based. So things can go viral there, even if you don't have a ton of followers, because it's like TikTok said, well, we don't need your hashtags. We've got our own algorithms. And so they may show that to people who are interested in this kind of thing. There's a whole for-your page. And the people that watch things a lot on TikTok, it serves things up to them. So I think the rule of thumb is after the first 200 views, those are probably people who aren't your followers and they just happen to see it. So kind of exciting what can happen on TikTok and YouTube, TikTok in particular. All right. And then moving right along, what kind of content will my audience, what will make them hit like and comment and share? Because you can post, but you don't want it to be a one-way street. So the algorithms like when there's a give and take. So if people are liking it and commenting and maybe sharing it, of course, you want to like their comments back and comment back to them if you can. To keep the algorithms going. But what kind of things can you put out there? Because again, if you just post some glamour shots of your book, how many times can somebody say, great cover, loved your book? They do think those things, but they're not going to come in and say those things over and over again. So what are some things that actually encourage the back and forth? Let's look at these. So author insights, and we do some things like this. Let me push play here again. This is an example from Rebecca Zanetti's TikTok here. I think it's going. Hang on a second. Yep, there it goes. So we actually record little interviews and then clip them up and make them cool. And you can see lots of different things. So there's variety in there. And then one of them will play here. But I like you to get a picture of how the channel looks.
So I was in this critique group, and there was a woman in this group who had arthritis, and she needed to know if there's a way to get handcuffs off. And I told her I'd try it. We had these old handcuffs from an old like Halloween costume, and so I did them behind my back. And it was during Christmas times, because I remember the Christmas tree being in the living room, which had a bay window. And so I got on the floor and I was shimmying and trying to get, and I managed to get the handcuff, my hands through my leg, through my feet and up. And I was rolling back and forth, and I look up in the bay window, and the delivery guy is standing on our porch watching me, like his eyes wide, and he's reaching for his phone. So I jump up and I run over, and I'm able to open the door and explain what I was doing. But after that, he never came to our house again. And so we just ended up moving. So I was in this critique group.
Oops, here we'll go back for a second. So interestingly enough, I think some of those juicy things, I mean, that's not juicy like scandalous, but it's interesting, do well. That one had, if you see the screen capture, this was from May, and we captured it later, in between now and then, had over 1,000 hearts and quite a few views. So it's something that people found interesting. So think of things, you can just hold up your phone. It doesn't have to be clipped in and have a producer look to it, but have it things that are juicy a little bit. What could be something that people are like, oh, that's interesting. They might want to know about your writing journey and things like that, but also some of these kind of nifty things that are a little bit anecdotal can do really well, and you can give them a try. So there's an example for that. And then personal preference questions. So this is a static graphic, and you could set yourself like maybe you want to do these on Wednesday. And so you're going to make up a couple different questions and have them post every Wednesday. There are a lot of people out there who like to give you their 2 cents. And so when you ask a question, you're inviting them to answer. And what else is really good is it gives them a reason to comment. So again, if you just have the glamour shot or the picture of your book in a nice setting, that's all right, but it doesn't invite commenting. This invites commenting. You can also use hashtags like question of the day. So it may go out and be discovered by people who don't already follow you, but who like to just answer things. Maybe people just want to say, do you enjoy reading early in the morning or late at night? And they will answer. Now, if you get a lot of people answering, it's also good for you, if you have the time, to go in and comment back to those, because that can be beneficial in the algorithms. But all of these asking a question kind of things are a great idea for engagement posts. So if you want people to engage, give them something to engage with, something like this. And this is a nice, simple example. The author has her logo, which is her name, at the top. So if somebody stumbles along this that's not already following her, they may be inclined then to come check her out. Ooh, what else does she have on her page? All right. And sort of along the lines of the people who will give you their 2 cents, opinion polls, A or B, or whatever along those lines, a this or a that. So in this case, which would you choose during a zombie outbreak? Braving the wilderness, hiding out in a deserted city? This is a great opinion poll for your readers in your genre. So there's probably other questions that you could ask that have to do maybe back to the handcuff thing. Would you put somebody in handcuffs or would you tie them up with rope? We're in a crime writer thing, right? So, think of like different crime kind of things. Where would you bury the body? Would you bury it in the night or in the morning or those kind of opinion polls? Like, we're probably not going to have a zombie outbreak, but people who read these types of books are interested in zombie outbreaks, so they can give you their answer there. So think of like what kind of interesting questions about crime could you ask people who read crime books, and then put that in there. And these two images were just stacked back, an image with each one. You wouldn't have to, you could just type the question in there. But I think this is kind of a fun way to get some engagement. And again, question of the day, hashtags, and things that get people engaging on your site. If you think of a cool question that you would ask, put it in the chat, because I always think it's fun. People think of ones that I would never have thought of. And recommendations. So people, again, like to tell you what they think. This does not even have to be about your book or your genre. This could be like, this is a current events. Recommend. Hey, follower, share a hidden gem, book, movie, song, could be food, grocery item that you recently discovered. People will comment, and actually each one of those could be a separate post if you wanted it to, if you were trying to do recommendations certain times, throughout the month. People, you want your followers to have something that they want to chime in on and comment back and forth. So I like this recommendation post. It doesn't have to be specifically about the books or your genre, but just in general. And you could preface it with maybe you just found a new type of whatever, soup. I don't know, take a picture, put that in there and say, I discovered this. What have you recently discovered? And then get the engagement that way. Michelle has given me a fun question. Who would you want to investigate your murder? Is it Hercule Poirot or Mrs. Marple? I might not have said it right. But anyway, give
Hercule
them.
Poirot.
See, I knew I would butcher it. Thank you. So put those two in there, or, whatever fits you in your books. That's perfect for crime folks, and see what people do and answer. And memes. This would like our team just made this for this author, Leanne Dobbs. She has an amazing amount of followers who will just post cat pictures on there. So for her, cat pictures were the right fit. For me, cat pictures would be a good fit too. But whatever is your jam, it could be about coffee, it could be about puzzles, all kinds of things. Or you can repurpose one and make it different. But having just fun memes can interest people. So you don't have to always have it be specifically about your book every time. Create that experience on your page. It's important that you have consistent posting. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to hurry up and post a whole bunch this week. Social media is a long game. So when you're planning out how you're going to set this up, you could decide, okay, I'm going to put a meme in there once every 2 weeks, something a little different, still you, but some variety. And then ask me anything. So we had the author insights from Rebecca with the handcuffs, which I think is a really fun one. And then this is an example of ask me anything. Recorded Ask Me Anythings, I think, are fabulous because you're picking the questions. And so you're not going to get caught off guard with somebody asking you something that you don't want to answer because you picked it. Karen said, do you recommend posting 6 days a week? With our full service, we do post 6 days a week to Facebook and Instagram. And the goal there is when somebody says, have you seen the latest Karen Phillips book? And so they come and look you up. And if they find like a few old posts from like last Thanksgiving and once there was a cactus and this and that, or if there's like a really robust presence and they're able to sink their teeth and find more, the 6 days a week can help build that whole presence over and over again. So do what you can. If 6 days a week is too much for you, one, hire us to do it. Or 2, set yourself a reasonable goal. Maybe 4 days a week is what's going to work for you. I would also recommend a scheduler. So you're going to make yourself nuts if you have to remember every day or every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday that you need to post. And then it's dinner time and you're like, oh, I didn't get that done today. You're going to make yourself feel crummy. So there's a lot of schedulers out there. Some of them are free. So a couple that I've heard of are Planoly.com, Later.com, Sendable.com. You can also schedule in the Meta Business Suite and set it up in there. So if you're trying to use your time wisely, I would get the post done and set aside a little time, like here we are, Sunday afternoon, maybe one Sunday a month or every other Sunday. You schedule out for a week or 2 or the month if you can. Then you're not making yourself nuts. And it will also then go off without a hitch, rather than you beating yourself up and saying, oh, I meant to post today and I didn't get it done. It will just roll. Let's see here. Misty had a question. Is there data on the effectiveness of paid ads or free posting for indie publishers? I hear nothing, but I can't see any correlation between paid ads or posts and sales from my self-published friends. So the thing about posting just regular graphics, it's really more indirect sales. So when you're doing paid ads, you're likely to see direct sales. And I don't know a lot about the paid ads. Again, I'll just stick to the things that I do know about. And the posting, the graphics, I told you I wouldn't make anything up. But when you have that well-branded presence, there's more of a chance somebody's going to find you. And when they find you, there's a lot there. So what I talk with people about is, what are you missing? So when somebody looks you up and they don't see a lot of graphics, they just go find somebody else who writes in your same genre. So those are the indirect sales that you could gain, but they're so hard to track. So it's a long game of having that established presence. So then the next time you put a book out there and the next time there's more content and people are used to seeing you. So the correlation can be tricky for just static social media posts, but I think it's important to put time on it. And again, I like to sleep at night. I know people do too. So bite off what works for you. I don't want you to make yourself crazy. But if it fits and you can get that consistent posting in the long run, that could lead to those indirect sales. All right, good questions, guys. And then I'll do an Ask Me Anything for you here. And you can ask yourself these questions. This is a recorded session that we did with the author. Lots of ways you can do these. You can just grab your phone and hold it up and do that too. But we'll do an example.
Well, if it's something they love doing, I'm all for it. I love writing. And so I'm all for making a career of it. I think the pressure in maybe every business, but this one's for sure, certain, is seeing somebody else really succeed. You have a friend, you're kind of at the same level, you're getting the same advances, you're getting the same sales, and boom, they hit. We call it lightning strikes. And then it goes crazy. And you really do have to step back and not feel this urge of pressure to, oh, I need to do that too. And to step back and say, that's not my journey. That's her journey or that's his journey. And they're right on time for theirs, and I'm on time for mine. So you got to take that pressure off so you can create and relax and enjoy it.
So I don't know if you saw at the beginning, in the screen capture, that had 17,000 views. So it's just interesting what you put out there and what can take off. Here's the thing. If you don't put it out there, it can't take off. So not everything's going to work, but by posting some things, you have a better chance of them getting seen than if you didn't post at all. So we'd love to have you give it a try and put things out there just to see how it goes. Try different hashtags, try different types of content. There's a lot of opportunity in video right now. Facebook and Instagram could be a little more pay to play, but I feel like on the video, anything could happen. And then, okay, what else can I post? What other interesting things could I make and create, or could you make for me to put on social media? Okay, so character posts. So this works well for standalones. It also works really great for series, but you can actually get, these are AI images, but depending, there may be other images that you have from your book cover, but a post about individual characters with a little bit more about the person. So, I mean, I would take a page out of the Harry Potter book. A lot of people know the different characters in Harry Potter. Pick your characters, put a little blurb about them, and then occasionally do a character post. Those can do really well with your followers who are already interested in your books. And they might be like, that was my favorite, or the one I love to hate, or I hated to love, those kind of posts. So they're not really all that complicated. This is a simple background. It has the author's logo up there in the upper left. And then I like the little paper clip is kind of cool, but it's just a square picture and some typed text. Life lessons. So this worked well because it was a nonfiction book, but it could be a life lesson that you had that did not involve your book, but just thinking, what else can I put out there? Think outside of the box. Life lessons are another example. And then don't forget the holiday post. So of course you're going to have your basics, 4th of July, and the major holidays. But there's also a lot of interesting holidays. So we had somebody who was a detective, had like a detective series. So they wanted to celebrate a post with National DNA Day. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it turns out it is. And there could be, there's probably a random holiday for every day of the week and every day of the month. So if you look and you find out, oh, well, I heard May the 4th be with you. May 4th is Star Wars Day. But there's probably chocolate chip cookie day, ice cream day, potato chip day. And so if you're just stuck for fodder for the social media, some of those quirky little holiday posts could work really well for you. You can also just stick to the basic ones, and there's a post for the day. So, oh, good. I've got something for 4th of July. I'd like to have a post. I might as well just make it something like that. So you're still present on social media, but it has to do with the different holidays and things like that. Ooh, I love this one too. Book settings. So not just your book itself, and this particular one is a historical one. Explore the lands of Tyrants, where each mountain pass and river bend tells a story of ancient battles and alliances. But it could also be if you have a, college sports romance, or maybe you have murders that happen in some cute little small town with a bakery, those kind of scenes and settings. So pictures of the bakery, the college campus, the mountains, wherever these things are happening, and something about it. So you're not just advertising the book, you're talking about the book setting. And that can get people interested who aren't as familiar. People who read the books will like those and may engage with the post too. This one has the author's name at the top and a little bit underneath, award-winning historical fiction author. But I like the idea of book settings. If you have another idea, put it in the chat for your book setting. I haven't read all of your books, but if you think about all the different types of things, it could be maybe there's something in a newspaper, maybe there's some like a printer, all those different places, those you can find a picture. This one was actually kind of, I think, a picture that she already had of her map, but put a little quote, put things that are color coordinated with you and your brand and your genre, and have that out there. Another cool idea. And favorite things. Coffee. I definitely gravitate to this. Maybe you're a wine person. I love tacos too, so I would probably do a tacos post. Putting just something that people get to know you a little bit more, and then you're going to get your coffee lovers commenting. So think about favorite things, cats, dogs, different kinds of pets, places to go, things to eat, types of music. All those different things are post worthy. If you sit back and somebody said, tell me your 10 favorite things, and they could be across the board, there's one post a week for 10 weeks. And these types of images will be pretty easy to find most of the time. If you were doing them in BookBrush, we source our background images from Pixabay, but you also could bring in your own pictures. post straight from your phone and put text, or create those in BookBrush. So if I was doing favorite things and it was pets, I would put my own pets in there. Michelle's dog better be on Facebook next week about her favorite things. So when you're thinking about the things to put in here, you can definitely do those. All right. And a book hook. So this is a vertical video, and I'll show you. This is more like a mini book trailer. Here we go. So not salesy, but definitely engaging. So it's like a little mini, you've got music, animation, video background. And Michelle said, I'm grabbing that book instantly. Exactly. You can tell it's cozy. It's mystery. I love how the book fades in like that. So those are really kind of a cool way to put them on. Vertical is good because people's phone is vertical and they're usually looking on their phone. And then grabbing people's attention. So a book hook is a cool idea. That doesn't even have to be wording. It's not a direct excerpt. It's just like a little blurb about your book. So with all that said, I want to talk about the ways that we can help you if you're not using our do-it-yourself platform, and you can do a lot of those things yourself. But if you're thinking, some of these things, I just need somebody to do these things for me. We have a full service, which I'll talk about at the end, but a lot of people don't need full service. They just need a little bit of help sometimes. And so that's when we introduce hourly concepts. That is a service side of BookBrush. You just buy the hours you need and you get the projects that you need. So a vertical video like that book hook we just saw is a 2-hour project. So if you were thinking, okay, I want to do a couple of those a month, you could do 10 hours a month. You would be able to get 5 of those, or you could alternate some other things and just have us do those certain extra things. We're the graphics people. So we don't do, we don't write books, but we can help you with that graphics side of things. So a couple ways you could use subscriptions, because I like to break this down for people because they're thinking, well, I don't know what I need every month. So if you had a 5-hour subscription with this, here are things that you could get with that 5 hours. One vertical video, like that book hook we just looked at, that's 2 hours. We can create one social ad. And then we haven't even talked about Amazon A+ content today. And I could go down a whole rabbit hole on that. Hopefully you're familiar. If not, it's the stacked images that are in the From the Publisher section when you go to your Amazon page. And a lot of people do them themselves, but a lot of people are intimidated by that. So we put together a lot of Amazon A+, and that's a 2-hour project as well. So here's how this could look. This is, instead of a social ad, it's a newsletter header at the top. And then we've got the Amazon A+ content, the 3 stacked modules, and then a vertical video. So we'll play that. That one was louder than some of the other ones, and I think the music is really gripping. There's just something about music that draws people in. And so again, you've got the top one is a 1-hour project, the Amazon A+ is 2 hours, and the vertical video is 2 hours. So you could do this monthly for one book, the next month, the next book. And so it's a nice little boost for, one book at a time. Another thing that people do if you don't need the Amazon A+ is they do a vertical video and have us do 3 social graphics. So that gives you 1 post a week You could do the vertical video the first week, and then you've got the social graphic, one per week after that, and repeat. So if you're overwhelmed with getting those created, we can do that part for you, and you would just do the scheduling and they're all delivered for you. Karen had a question. What all do you need from the author to do a book hook and a social ad? And does the client get to see a few concepts? So you buy the hours and then you submit your project brief. We need to know different things for, like the questionnaire is different for Amazon A+ versus the vertical video with the book hook. You're going to supply the wording in every case because we don't have time to read the book. So you give us the wording and then as much as you can. So if it's historical or, like a little bit more of the setting. So if it's older and they can't have a cell phone, or if you had some pictures like in your mind, if there's going to be handcuffs or a gavel, or if it's outdoors or beachy, those different kinds of setting type of things give us the, a little bit more to go on, and that we'll search for the videos. So we don't do drafts for these type. We put together, we deliver it. You can do a revision for half an hour of time if you want to send it back. But the full trailers, we do 2 rounds of revisions. A full book trailer is 5 hours. But most of these, because you guys are so good at writing a book, just write us a nice little book about what you would like, and we will bring it to life for you. If you're going to do 3 social ads, though, I would probably request one first. Have us do that one. And then we have a feel for you and you have a feel for us. And then you'll know what to send in on the next ones. So good question. So again, I went backwards. I said the vertical video first, but your posting rhythm then could be, we advocate more often, but if this is what's in your wheelhouse, this would work. So this would give you 1 post a week and you're getting yourself out there and dipping your toe in. And here's an example with the 10 hours a month. 10 hours is a little cheaper per hour because you've got a chunkier set of hours. So you would have a book trailer, and I'll show you an example of that. And then a newsletter header, and you could interchange the 1 hour projects if you want to. An Amazon A+, and a social ad, and then it could be a BookBub or, anything else that you would want to choose. And it does not need to be the same each month. Here's an example of how that 1 month looks. So the book trailer is 5 hours, and I'll play that for you. That's definitely powerful, I think. We can do them a little shorter. It doesn't have to be that long, but that's an example for you. And then on the right is the Amazon A+ content. In this case, they chose 4 modules, and there's quote boxes at the bottom. And then we've got the newsletter header on the lower left and social media graphics, a social ad in the center, and the BookBub over on the lower right. So just ideas of how you could use your hours and how that would work. And if you purchase a subscription, you could do, 2-3 months. And if you don't use all the hours, when you cancel, the hours don't expire. So you could just work off of that bank of hours if you didn't get them all used. That could be another way there too. So you'll never lose anything. This just gives you an example of the 10-hour if you're doing this on repeat. So 2 vertical videos, 6 social ads, and these could be the same book or not the same book, but that's a way to break it down for yourself. So in that scenario, the posting rhythm, if you don't need the book trailer and you don't need Amazon A+ content, you could have a vertical video and a social graphic week 1, the next one, 2 static graphics, and then week 3, you're back to vertical video and a social ad. Week 4, 2 static social ads. So the work is done, and then you just do the posting. And then last but not least, the full service. So this was where I was talking about for Facebook and Instagram, we would create and post 6 days a week. And this is a pricier option, but it is also completely done for you. So if that's something you're interested in, just book a call and we'll talk about how it could work for you. It's not directly revenue generating, it's about the presence. So I don't want anybody to think it pays for itself with direct sales. What it does is it pays for itself with the presence that you want to have that you don't have time to do. So the meta plan is Facebook and Instagram, and then that video plan is TikTok and YouTube. And with that one, it's 15 reels per month. I went fast. Sorry, guys. So we do 15 videos crafted for you per month with that plan. So that's a lot of what I had to show you. It usually takes right about an hour, and here we are. So the QR code is to book a time with me. It's totally free if you want to talk about how it would work for you. I love chatting with authors. Or you can email us, support@bookbrush.com. And check us out, just bookbrush.com. Sign up for a free account for those that are new. And you might just be creating your own graphics, and that would be fine too. All right. Any other questions, guys, before I let you go?
Hey, thank you so much, Kathleen. That was amazing. So I came into this thinking that I was, I had a pretty good handle on things, and I'm pretty decent with social media. And you gave me so many ideas for things to do that my head is exploding. I also was like, I'm pretty decently skilled. I probably don't know the card anything. And now I want like a new header and I want a new. So I'm probably going to be in your inbox here very soon. I did want to say that there was one question in the chat that we skipped.
Oops,
Misty asked
sorry.
if there's any oh no, that's not your job, that's my job. Misty Berry asked if there's any data on the effectiveness of paid ads or free posting for indie publishers. Because
She already answered that.
I
Yeah,
did
she
kind of
did.
touch on it a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, she answered that.
Oops, I think it froze up there. I don't know if we lost Michelle.
Like you did.
Well, luckily we were almost done since we since she disappeared. So it looked like it glitched there a tiny bit. So if I missed anything or you have additional questions, contact a BookBrush. I'm not the only one who does that inbox, but if you're say, hey, I saw Kathleen and this is a question for her from there, they'll make sure I get assigned to that one and I can answer your questions there.
Do you find that what is more effective, and is it specific to genre? Like do thrillers work better on a TikTok or a Instagram profile? I'm just curious whether different genres are what's better for like a cozy. Does a cozy book do better on TikTok? Does a thriller do better on Facebook, Instagram?
So I
mean,
think
or
that
maybe you don't. Hey, Michelle.
we don't always
Sorry.
know. No, that's okay. We're like, I think she's gone. Now people do tell me that spicy romance does really well on TikTok, but that's not to say the other things don't.
Right.
There's people that use each platform, so that's the platform they're going to go to. So, some people where they look for their book recommendations is TikTok. And if you're not on there, they're not going to find you. And if what they're looking for is, time travel books, that's what they're searching for. and so it's nichier. What I think on there is if you're doing things about your book so they can find you, book recommendation type things or tropes and stuff that are in there, even if you only have 200 or 300 views, those aren't just your friends and your neighbors. Those are people who found you intentionally, and they're more likely to be book buyers. You know, if you put those kind of things out there on TikTok, for example. TikTok again is more experience based, and Instagram and Facebook are more follower based. So it helps the more followers you have. But I also would suggest, like for your Facebook page, follow some other authors in your same genre, because when readers go follow the author that they like, once they've read those books, they might be looking at that author's page and see who else do they follow and who follows them. So
right.
that, you know, don't just, it's not a silo. You don't want to put it out there and not interact. So
Right.
but I think it's helpful to be on several platforms if you can handle it and you're not, doesn't make you crazy. Because if you don't go on Instagram, the people who only go to Instagram aren't going to find you. You know, so like, make the most of it. Now, we'll say Facebook and Instagram can have the same post. So if you're using a scheduler, just schedule it to both, Wednesday at 10:20. And we didn't talk about this, but a lot of the schedulers and the Meta Suite too, after a period of time, can tell you what the best time of day is to post for you based on your followers, so you get the most mileage out of what you're posting.
Interesting.
So at first it may not be able to, but like my YouTube channel for BookBrush tells me Friday between 9 and 12 Central Time is when I need my hero content out there. That's the most. I don't know why, but it's, you can look at those analytics and check it out. Yours could be entirely different from mine.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just
But if
was
it's
curious
out there,
whether-
check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious if a platform is more amenable to what are basically subgenres within the genre of crime fiction.
I don't think it's so much the platform. I think it's just different readers or, so you may not have the viral post, but if those people are looking for a certain type of crime book and you put it on TikTok, then they're going to find you. So there may not be as many people as want spicy romance, but that's okay. You could have if you're not there, they can't find you. So you want to put it out there.
Right.
I've also
Um,
noticed, I don't know if this is a help at all, that it depends on the kind of content. The platform actually interacts with the type of content for me. So what people respond to on my TikTok is very different than what they respond to on my Instagram. So I can have a reel that goes nuts and gets me thousands of views on TikTok, and on Instagram nobody cares, and vice versa. So I've just tuned in a little bit. Like, for example, dogs. My dog on Instagram and on Facebook, like you're saying, on TikTok nobody cares about my dog. Don't know why. So
They should.
yeah,
I mean, how rude.
right? Right?
Yeah, but the
that's
different
interesting.
platforms. Yeah, and then it serves it up to people that if they've been watching those types of videos, then yours falls into that and gets shown to them too. And it could be because they're based in California, or it could be because they've been looking at a bunch of crime videos, hopefully about books, not just crime in general, but those kind of things. And it serves them that stuff, and then it can route to them. It's again experience based on TikTok. It's a lot different. So I think maybe, Michelle, because Facebook and Instagram are follower based, your followers love your dog, so your dog's doing great over there. But experience based, maybe on TikTok, it's not quite the same.
Do you feel that TikTok tends to skew younger? The
So
people on TikTok they tend to skew younger, and we're in a, some of us are writing as
I think the audience,
geriatrics.
but that doesn't mean I would think that your readership is a wider age than just your particular age. So you may not be on there, but maybe you have readers of a wider age group. And if they're going to be on TikTok as their preferred platform, they won't find your book if you're only putting it on Facebook. So
Right.
it's worth a try. I think that in general, there's probably a younger subset on TikTok, but they still might really like some crime fiction books. That doesn't just mean the age of the author is the age of the audience, I guess is
Right.
what I'm saying.
One of
Right.
the things that my research, which is not as good as Kathleen's research on this, obviously, but one of the
I'll
things that
take anybody's research. You go right ahead.
that a lot of millennials and Gen Zers, they think that Facebook is for boomers, right? So you don't see as many people on there. So my demographic, I'm hoping that my demographic, or what my publisher tells me, is my demographic goes from 35 to 100. So some of those are going to be on Facebook and some of those are going to be on Instagram. So like Kathleen was saying, if I'm just doing Facebook, I'm going to miss all of those people on Instagram who don't want to do Facebook. But that also does tell me that certain ways I'm going to skew when I'm posting, depending on those kinds of platforms.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And some of your schedulers, the scheduling platforms can get you some interesting reports after the fact. We use Sendable. And so it'll tell us like what city had the most views. And so I had one author and he's like, okay, so I knew I appealed to women. He was 97% women had looked at his thing. So that was really a lot. And his biggest city was Quebec, Canada, which he's like, I don't know. So that's something he could write into some stories later or something. You know, it's like, what an interesting piece of information. Do with it what you want, but it could help you with some marketing later. So if there's information out there that you can get it, because, you know, I think it's kind of cool to see what you can do with it later.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is one of the problems in this new age of publishing, where you do not know where your book is where it's hitting its points, or at least I don't know. I don't know where, you know, I mean, the first books I published were based on, I was a pastry chef, and they were sort of based on my experience in restaurants. So I'm going to assume that, you know, people who are interested in food probably picked it up, but I don't think that there was certainly maybe people who were interested in San Francisco, you know, but, you know, sort of, I feel in some ways that because I don't have a big publisher, that I'm flying a little blind. So that kind of information would be really helpful to me personally, and maybe
Absolutely. And it's kind
hear
of
more.
fascinating too. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, and now I can tailor
Yeah.
my future efforts this other way.
Yeah, or the book isn't selling. I mean, that would say something too that I would need to address. That
Mhm.
especially if, you know, you put effort into a series, if a series isn't hitting goals, then maybe you need to redirect your energy somewhere else. I mean,
There's so many parts of that too, though. The book
Yeah.
cover, you know,
Yeah.
do you need to redo the cover? Do you need
yeah,
where
Yeah.
all the things? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't even know where to for sure to tell you you'd want to redirect. You need like a whole introspective
Right,
overhaul.
but just to
with the
know
blurb.
that you need to redirect,
Yes.
you know, the basic issue of, you know, this isn't selling, it's a decent book, why not? You know, what, at least it gives you a starting point to start investigating where you're not, I don't want to say failing because that's such an ugly word, where
Mhm.
you're just not reaching people. Why aren't you reaching people?
Right. Your opportunity areas sound so much nicer.
Yes.
And I think that's a good argument for getting, you know, help if you can, even if it's just a
Yes.
couple of hours of help from
Yeah,
someone like
yeah.
BookBrush to
Yes.
say, okay, help me do an appealing trailer here and start
Yes.
honing your own instincts for what is going to work. And then you can take that off your list. Okay, if my book is not selling, at least I know that I did a really good job with these promotional materials. And maybe it is just that this topic that, you know, I'm tackling, or, you know, if it's pastry chef or San Francisco or whatever, is just
Right.
not in vogue right now. And maybe
Right.
put that on the shelf and try something else.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously certain books at certain points, they just hit the market right. They might not even be a good book, to be honest with you, but they hit the market at the right time, you know, and a lot of, I mean, people don't want to hear this either, but a lot of how a book sells is, some of it is luck, not a lot of it, but some of it is luck. You just hit the market at the right time.
The
And,
genres that are trending and what people are interested in. Yep. Did you come in at the same time that some other thing went, you know, bananas, and you were right there on the genre train or the subgenre? Right time, right
Yeah.
place.
Well, and
Anybody
I also,
who happened to have vampires right after
oh, I
Twilight
know,
is
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our wizards. And also the issue of there's just so much coming out there. I mean, I've seen horrible statistics on how many books are hitting Amazon every month. I mean, it's how do you make your book stand out outside of, you know, a really tight mystery community, you know, even, you know, with outside of, say, MWA, Mystery Writers of America. How do you reach the general public? And you know, if you don't come up with a way to sell it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this very well.
No,
But,
and some of it though, like we do, if we are doing, whether we're doing it or you doing it, your well-branded social media presence, is it the chicken or the egg? But if you have that, when they find you, there's a well-branded presence. Because right now, if you don't have a bunch of things and they do come upon you and then there's not much, it's like, well, then they're going to move on. So if
Yeah.
you build it, they will come, not necessarily, but you want to have those things in place. And 6 days a week might not be what you can manage, but even if you set your
No.
goals, I'm going to try to have something 2 to 3 days a week consistently. Like we do
Right.
6-month contracts. We don't just say we're going to hurry up and post for a couple weeks and done.
Yeah.
You want to have it over time. So when somebody does find you, then the next thing you know, they're scrolling, they're sinking in. Like I had a lady who had books about like barn quilts. So she had quilts with quotes about reading. People who like that kind of books and genre, that resonated with them. So that would work.
Yeah.
So maybe you need some blood and swords. I don't know. We have some nice
I know.
blood
I
drops in
want
our
swords, but
elements. Like in book brush, you could add some blood droplets to any graphic you make and make it a little more eerie. And
well, I think one
And-
thing under the subtext of all this too is I don't know how else to put this, but it's the issue of celebrity. Readers now, I mean, the books I published 25 years ago, it wasn't so much an issue that readers wanted to know who you are. And now readers want to know who you are. And I thought that your presentation touched on this in terms of giving people, you don't want to give them too much of a window into your life because there are a lot of crazy people out there. But you want to give them some window so that they feel connected to you and that they will continue to follow you because you're writing a series. And I think that's hard for people who've been writing for a long time. Don't recognize that it is the world of celebrity. I mean, we're not talking about people stalking you, but they want to know who you are. And I think
there's
some
like
of your graphics address that.
and a fine line, like you can tell them you like football and you're a 49ers fan, but you don't want to tell them you have season tickets because then they'll either know when you're not home or they'll be looking for you at the game, so like
Yeah.
find that middle ground. So they're like, oh, they like football. I like football. They have a dog. I have a dog, something, kind of the middle ground. So they feel a bond, but yes, not too much. So they're at your doorstep.
Well,
One of the
and I
pieces
think,
of advice that I got that was really good advice was that you're not selling a book, you're selling yourself. Because
Yeah.
you don't just want them to buy this book, you want them to buy the next book, you want them to buy. And in order to do that, you have to use, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, that magic word that Kathleen used, which is branding. And
Yeah.
what social media allows us to do is to do that in a subtle way and to identify, what are the things that I want to be associated with and start putting them into those posts. And one of the things that I've found super helpful about BookBrush is that when you make something, you can save it as a project, you save those elements, you can reuse those or remind yourself. And that's just like half the battle of creating a branded presence without, needing an expert who's going to be able to tell you how to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Michelle, did you see our new brand kits in there?
No.
Okay, on the main page on the left, you can set up brand kits. There's 3 different ones, so you could have 3 different series or whatever. So then it has 3 colors and 3 fonts that go with that series. So when you're making your graphics, it's lickety split. And on your primary brand kit, that'll be your default font when you come in now. So it won't be that Fahala one. There's your time
Oh, I
saver
love
tip
that.
for today. I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Well, and people who've been writing for a long time or are on the elderly end of the spectrum, the concept of branding, I think, is foreign. And yet,
It just
especially,
maybe as an author though, like think when you see something in the Walt Disney font, that's Disney and things like, I
Yeah,
mean, we're not
yeah.
that famous, but picture, you
Yeah,
want to always have
yeah.
that cohesive feel so people who are
Yeah.
fans start to see that. So it's not
Yeah.
foreign in general, but probably for thinking in terms of yourself, like, oh, I need a
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah. Well, and especially if you're not working with a big publisher who are, establishing a brand that also works for them, but you need a brand that works for you because, you're not going to get any promotional dollars. The dollars that you spend are precious because you're not getting promotional dollars.
Right.
So I think it's really important to think about, where, where can you spend your limited resources? Because, most of us have limited resources. So, I mean,
Yes.
that's unfortunately, that's the reality. But again, how do you make your book stand out among the, what is it, 20,000 a month that hit Amazon, something crazy like that.
Mhm.
So,
It's wild.
yeah, it is. It's crazy, but we love to write, so, and we want people to read us. So anyway, does
Yeah.
anybody else have, I'm like monopolizing conversation here. Does anybody else have anything to say? Michelle, do you have any closing remarks?
I think, yeah, I could talk about Book Brush all day long, and it's probably already annoying to the point, that I'm saying this, but I really truly do feel that it makes maximum use of my time. And
Mm,
to be able to do things like Kitty, to be able to do things like even, simple little graphics that say, hey, my newsletter's about to go out. If you want to get in on the giveaway that I'm going to have, you should sign up today. Here you go. It just has made it so easy and is so revolutionary for me. That I would say, and I love the fact that you went over today the fact that you can deal with people like me who my books are not making a ton of money, hopefully yet. Hopefully someday they'll make more, I'm making a little bit of money, but I don't, I'm not James Patterson, right? So you've got something that from the self-service on up for whatever the
Yeah.
needs are. And hopefully, next year when I've gone nuts, right? When my book has gone crazy and I need somebody to run my social media for me, I can come back and have that conversation with you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so for whatever you need, you're really good at helping us at all different phases of these journeys.
Yes.
So
because-
I would just say go check out whether you're Karen and Gwen or whoever's watching this in the future, which I'm going to recommend that everybody come and do this, because I don't want to ever hear anybody say again, I don't have any ideas for what to put up on social media, because Kathleen just gave us a year's worth of ideas for what to put up there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that people are going to watch and rewatch this. I know I am. So thank
Yeah,
you for that.
definitely.
And thank you for being there for whatever we need.
Yes, thank
You
you.
are
And
welcome.
and once this is up on YouTube, I'll promote it on the MWA Facebook page, and so that you can. I mean, it's very, very helpful. I mean, even if someone doesn't use your service, the ideas that you're providing about just what is this going to do? What does it say about your book is very invaluable, and people have to sort of they have to accept that on some level you have to sell. It doesn't have to be some amazing graphic. Like that last book trailer you showed was really pretty impressive. I mean, that was very, very impressive. I mean, I don't read that kind of book, but I might consider buying that book because I mean that was beautifully done. But it just points out where people need to look, where authors need to land to get their book noticed, and what is just fun ideas, like the whole thing with the questions and engagement, and yeah, it was a great presentation. Thank you, Michelle, for setting this up. I appreciate it.
Morpheus just whispered in my ear one thing, that there was hidden tip that Kathleen did not say explicitly, but go to authors who do this well and have tons of views on their videos or their whatevers and look at how they're doing it and then imitate them. I mean, don't just copy them, but adjust it to what works for your books. Because I saw a bunch of stuff in what you showed me that I was like, bang, bang.
Yeah, me too.
So
Yeah, you
I'll
don't
end on
have to reinvent the wheel by any means.
No.
Find people who are doing it well and then tweak it with your brand, your branding, your books, your thing. But yeah, you don't have to just sit here and come completely from scratch. Go find some things that are working. And also the hashtags they're using. You can piggyback some of those hashtags.
Yeah,
there
that's
too.
a great idea. Yeah. I always struggle with hashtags. I mean, I am philosophically opposed to hashtags, so my hashtags are so lame. But I mean, yeah, I was just like, no, hashtags are not my gig. But I know I have to have hashtags, but they're still lame. So anyway, so I think we're going to wrap up here. Thanks a million. Thank you, Michelle, for setting this up. I really appreciate it, and I know our members will. And Kathleen, thanks a million for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon when you should be cheering your son on.
We
this
did all
wonderful
the
perfor-
cheering yesterday everywhere, so we are all
Okay.
taking a break today.
Okay,
So
you're all
that's
cheered
worked
out.
out perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Yes.
yes.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it and thank you so much. And I'm going to end the recording. Recording. Stop recording now. Anyway, thank you again. And
Yes,
thanks,
thank
Michelle.
you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll be in touch
See you.
soon, I'm sure.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Bye-bye,
Bye,
guys.
everyone. Bye-bye.